My telecast is in Malayalam. You know, the people are saying, we have heard Bhagavatam so many times. Saptahams also we have heard. But we never knew that Srimad Bhagavatam is a text like this. 80% of Srimad Bhagavatam is Vedanta and Vedanta alone. 80%. But it is presented in a very beautiful manner, linked with devotion. So when I speak about vichara, please understand it very well. You have the intelligence, you are using it, but only to become a professional expert, a family expert, a household expert. Use it spiritually and get the greatest glory that is earmarked for the human life. Vedantartha vicharena jayade jnanamuttamam tena atyantika samsara dukkhanasho. By vichara alone, you will be able to terminate all the torments of the world. And they will get destroyed forever. We have Arjuna as one instance, Uddhava as another, and we have Parikshit one and Sri Rama another. All are in different sittings and different situations. All of them were equally treated and equally everything went off well. So this vichara is something very, very important. Very, very important. Use your intelligence. Learn to be introspecting, always.
Ma bhaishta vidvam stavanastyapayah samsara sindhos taranestyupayah yenaiva yata yatayosya param tameva margam tava nirdishami. Astyupayo mahan kaschit samsara bhayanashanaha tena tirtva bhavam bodhim paramanandamapsyasi Vedantartha vicharena jayate jnanamuttamam tenatyantika samsara dukkhanasho bhavatyanu.
Our personality is a composite one. In the composite personality, our body is gross. It consists of matter and energy. So it does not have any sentience in it. It is simply any kind of a material, physical or a gross instrument in the hands of a person who operates it. So let us not worry about the body at all. It is for the doctors to worry about. You have nothing to do. Nourish the body, take exercises, look after it properly. It has already grown, completed its growth at the age of 21. Then it has started declining also. And one day it is going to be lifeless. Don't worry about it. If at all you have anything to do in the way of a culture, a reformation, a refinement, improvement, a qualitative upgradation, it is only in your inner personality consisting of mind and intelligence. Will you please understand this? Your sole focus should be on the mind and intelligence. The mind and intelligence are sentient functional units or nodes. besides the body, we have only one factor or one constituent called consciousness. That consciousness works in three different nodes. One is called mentation, and that is identified as the mind. Another is intellection, identified as intelligence. Another is assertion and coordination, identified as ego. Now these three are not separate identities or entities. They are only functional names. Functional names. They are not entities by themselves. When the consciousness does the function of mentation, it is called the mind. When it does the function of intellection, it is called the intellect. And when it does the other function of assertion and coordination, it is called ego. Generally we say I. I have said it earlier, but you may not remember it. The I is more a referral point than anything in the way of an entity. Now I refer to myself as I. But when you come and refer to me, how will you refer to me? You will say you. So what is the I and what is the you? What I refer to as I becomes you for another. For a third man it becomes a he. So the reference he, you and I are to the same point. So let us be very clear that I is more a referral point than a positive entity at all. Then I must have I as one, you as another, and he as a third. It is not there. So these are functional names. They are not entities. This is a point I would like you to clearly understand. Now, vichara, yesterday I spoke quite much about it. The infusional, truthful introspection. Why I am using the word truthful? The introspection should be on the truth. In the whole world, you cannot find anything true or truthful. Everything is subject to change. And whatever changes is untrue. The changeless alone can be the true. So in the whole external world, including the body and the senses, which enable you to perceive the external world, all of them are changeful. Therefore they are untrue. Then is there not anything true? Yes. The changefuls can never exist without any changeless substratum. And that substratum is the one you refer to as the I. So what is the true is clearly within your body, and you identify it as yourself as I. So the true is there. So the purpose of the vichara will be to introspect over this truth that you are referring to as the I. So real vichara is vichara about oneself, vichara about the I. Vedantartha vicharena jayate jnanamuttamam. You know very clearly that jnana can be had, knowledge can be had only by the intelligence. Knowledge is a derivative of intelligence. Unless you employ the intelligence, you can never have knowledge. Normally you have a great measure of knowledge, variety of knowledge, but all of them are related to the objects which you perceive with the senses. Now this knowledge is the one relating to the subject of all these objects. Am I clear? When I say the subject of all these objects, is it clear to you? Huh? See, I hear, I smell, I touch, I taste. And in all these domains, you will find a large variety, amazing variety of things. I see quite a number of things. I hear quite a number of words. So the large variety, all of them are objects. But they are objects only with reference to one subject. Though subject is singular, objects are plural and manifold. So the vichara is very specific, very concentric also. It is the vichara about the truth, vichara about the I, vichara about the substratum of all these changeful elements that you perceive and interact with. By that vichara alone, the uttama jnana can be had. In the first stage itself of Srimad Bhagavatam, consisting of 18,000 Sanskrit verses, 18,000 Sanskrit verses. Right in the beginning, Sudha is asked by his listeners, The listeners consisted of a very august assembly, good assembly. Scholars were there, ascetics were there, sannyasins were there, knowledgeable people were there. All of them together asked him, "Our revered sir, you have read quite a number of scriptures including the Vedas, epics, mythologies, etc. Will you please tell us the essence of all that you have read, the essence of all these scriptural compositions?" You know, Suda had no difficulty to say the essence. And mind you, this is something that we should know. The entire world should know. Vadanti tattvavidaha tattvam yajnanamadvayam brahmedi paramatmedi bhagavan iti shabdyate. Vadanti tattvavidaha tattvam yajnanamadvayam. The knowledgeable people who are experts in the art and process of introspection, truthful introspection, they say it is non-dual knowledge. What? What? I don't think you give the importance to this statement. They say that it is non-dual knowledge, a knowledge that you derive which gives no differentiation of any kind at all. And the next part of what he says is even tremendously important. Vadanti tattvavidaha tattvam yajnanamadvayam brahmedi paramatmedi bhagavaniti shabdyate. It is this non-dual knowledge, mark, here with 1,000 years. It is this non-dual knowledge that is referred to as brahmedi, the supreme reality, the ultimate existence, paramatmedi, the self in you, the supreme self, the Paramatma, Bhagavan iti shabdyate. That is the one referred to as God. Whatever you refer to as God, as the self and as the supreme reality, is no other than non-dual knowledge. So what is the content of God that you are searching and seeking? Where will you find such a statement? The ultimate existence is not existence. It is knowledge. It is something in the way of an experience. Srimad Bhagavata repeatedly uses the expression upalabdhi matram. The supreme truth or God can only be experienced. You cannot have any evidence for it. It is something like a concept, a pratyaya, an idea in your mind. About the mind you are clear, you cannot doubt the mind. So mind's idea cannot be questioned. You agree that you have a mind, and the mind is capable of conceiving, and the author of all concepts is the mind. The author of all concepts is the mind. So God is a concept, a pratyaya, and it is in the way of an experience in your mind and intelligence. There is no other proof for it. Just like what is the proof for your existence? What is the proof for your existence? I am, I exist. That is your proof. I am. That amness is there with you as an experience. It cannot be questioned. You cannot prove it. I am, that's all. Because I am, I see the world, I say the world is. So what is the authority of world's existence? Your first existence. From that the world proceeds. So the world is a perception for you, whereas I am is not a perception. It is an experience. It is a realization for you. So this non-dual knowledge is what people call as God, the Supreme Self, Paramatma, and Parabrahma, the ultimate reality. So Vedantartha Vicharena Jayate Jnanamuttamam. This jnana can be had only by a knowing process. And this knowing process can be taken up only by intelligence. And the function of the intelligence is called intellection, the vichara. So that vichara is the first part. It is the inevitable one. Vasishtha tells Sri Rama, Vichara tikshnatamethya dhif pashyati parampadam. Vicharad tikshnatamethya. You take up introspection, the dedicated pursuit perseverance of the intelligence. When you take it up seriously, you will find, and especially the subject, your own self becomes the object or subject of introspection. It doesn't have to go anywhere. The vichara becomes specifically inward and it is focused on your own source within. Now when that vichara becomes intense and more intense, that intensity itself will make it perceive the truth. Dhif pashyati param padam. The supreme abode is perceived or realized by the intelligence only when the vichara grows intense and more so. Dirgha samsara rogasya vicharo hi mahaushadham. Dirgha samsara rogasya. This long enduring cancer called the world, there is only one gamma ray, that is vichara. Vicharo hi mahaushadham. The most powerful and effective medicine is vichara, truthful introspection to be done by the intelligence. The vichara is so important, so important. Gachadas tishtado vabi jagradasvapato biva na vichara param cheto yasyaha saumritaye vasaha. This is also from Yoga Vasishtha Ramayana, the dialogue between sage Vasishtha and the 16-year-old Rama. Gacchataha tishtado vabi jagrataha swapato biva. Whether you are walking, whether you are sitting and resting, whether you are sleeping or dreaming, at all times, unless the mind is given to introspection, consider that man is verily dead. Gachadas tishtado vabi jagrata swapato biva na vichara param chedo. If the mind is not given intensely to vichara, yasya asau mritaye vasa. Consider that he is a donkey already dead. So important is vichara. Now you verify for yourself whether you have the habit of doing vichara. Generally people spend quite a lot of time thinking about the defects of the others. I think every one of you has a habit of scolding others, abusing others, accusing others and finding fault with the others. Please at least use that time for vichara. There will be a lot of change, a great deal of change. Now after having said it, the teacher tells him, Shraddha bhakti dhyana yogan mumuksho mukter hedun bhakti sakshat shrudergi yova edeshveva tishtatya mushya moksho avidya kalpitat dehabandhad. Shraddha bhakti
Shraddha bhakti
dhyana yogan mumuksho.
dhyana yogan mumuksho.
Shraddha bhakti dhyana yogan mumuksho.
Shraddha bhakti dhyana yogan mumuksho.
Mukter hedun bhakti
Mukter hetun bhakti
sakshat shrudergi.
Sakshat shrutergi.
Mukter hedun bhakti sakshat shrudergi.
Mukter hetun bhakti sakshat shrutergi.
Yova edeshveva
Yova eteshveva
tishtatya mushya.
Tishtatya mushya.
Yova edeshveva tishtatya mushya.
Yova eteshveva tishtatya mushya.
Moksho avidya kalpitat.
Moksho da kalpitat.
Dehabandhad.
Dehabandhat.
Moksho avidya kalpitat. Dehabandhad.
Moksho avidya kalpitat. Dehabandhat.
This is a verse that you should focus on. What are the qualities or prerequisites for a seeker if you ask? He clearly says, Shraddha, Bhakti dhyana yogaha. Shraddha bhakti dhyana yogat.
Shraddha bhakti dhyana yogat.
You are finding fault with your children, students about concentration, is it not? So when I chant it for you to repeat, where is your attention gone? Every time I have to tell you chant. Shraddha bhakti dhyana yogat.
Shraddha bhakti dhyana yogat.
Mumukshoh
Mumukshoh
muktehe
muktehe
hedun
hetun
vakti.
vakti.
Now you will be in trouble. You have to chant the whole word at one stretch. Shraddha bhakti dhyana yogan mumukshor mukter hedun vakti.
Shraddha bhakti dhyana yogan muksho mukter hetun vakti.
Bah, very good. So many years have passed. Sakshad
Sakshat
Shrutehe
Srutehe
Gihi
Grihi
Sakshad Shruter Gihi
Sakshat Srutergihi
Yaha
Yoha
Va
Va
Yo Va
Yova
Eteshu
Eteshu
Eva
Eva
Eteshveva
Eteshveva
Tishtati
Tishtati
Amushya
Amushya
Tishthatyamushya
Tishthatyamushya
Moksha
Moksha
Avidya Kalpitad
Avidyat Kalpitat
Dehabandhad
Dehabandhat
Moksho Vidya Kalpitad Dehabandhad
Moksho Vidya Kalpitat Dehabandhat
Shraddha Bhakti Dhyana Yogad. Three are the elements, three are the habits, refinements that you should have. Shraddha, Bhakti, Dhyana Yoga. Many times I have explained that Shraddha is a Sanskrit word which does not have an English equivalent. But nevertheless, I translate it as assiduous application. You must be able to apply your faculties assiduously to any given task. Here the faculty to be applied is the inner intelligence. And you have to apply it to understand, to probe into and understand your own inmost level of being. So it is an inward, introvert application of the intelligence. Normally you follow your thoughts. What? You follow your thoughts. You act upon the thoughts. Either you become desireful, or you become intolerant, hateful, or you become fearful, or you have multiple emotions. Now here, allow the mind to think in any manner. But you are not interested in the content or the message of the thought. You are only interested in the production of the thought and find out where from the thought arises. Let it be a thought of God. Let it be a thought of the world. Let it be a thought of somebody whom you dislike or you like. We are not interested in the content and the message of the thought. We are only interested in the thought as a function. What? Thought as a function of the mind. Now when something functions, the functioner will be there. So we are interested to know where from the thought arises. In other words, we are interested in the thinker. Thought is an expression of the thinker. So who or what is the thinker from whom so many thoughts proceed? So let the emergence of a thought take you backward and lodge you in the thinker. This is the application that you have to do with your intelligence. Do you feel it is difficult? Why should it be difficult? It is your own intelligence that follows the thought and translates it perhaps into an action. Here you are trying to apply it inwardly. And every time a thought arises, you are trying to find out. Suppose this is the mind, it produces a thought. Oh, It has produced. From where? From here. From here. Go to this place. And when you have found the thinker, something becomes the thinker in you. The thinker in you. But always you are not thinking. You are sleeping for a few hours. So in the absence of thinking, there is something there. And that is the substance or the source which becomes the thinker, produces the thoughts, produces thinking, and brings about the thoughts. This is the type of Shraddha that you must have. Apply your intelligence with a view to find out inwardly the source of all thoughts, thinking, thinker, everything. You will find, the end of it will be, you will find all the three processes dissolved. Shraddha, Bhakti, you must have that divine emotion in the whole process. Bhakti is not normally an emotion of the mind. We have bhakti only when we think about God. What is this God? Not anything worldly. God is not a sensory product. So He is beyond the sensory product. So He is something supra-worldly. Whenever you start thinking about the supra-worldly source, that is what which generates emotion in you. Every emotion belongs to the mind. The bhakti is a divine emotion when the mind starts thinking about God and starts developing a love or a fondness for it. That is also a fondness arising from the mind, but not for a perishable object of the world, but for the imperishable source of everything. That is called bhakti.